Stop forcing yourself to read. What do I mean by this? I don't mean just stop reading because you're like, oh, I don't feel like reading or I don't have time to read. Like, bro, do not ever say that again. I know you have time to read. What I mean by stop forcing yourself to read is stop forcing yourself to read these books that you're not even interested in or not even motivated to read. You might think this is common sense, but I made this mistake. So let me give you the example of my experience. So I was waking up at 6 a.m. every morning, right? I'd wake up, get out of bed, go take my shower, get in my room, and then as soon as I got in my room, fix my bed, whatever, and then read for an hour every morning before I even got started on work, right? At the time, I bought like a big group of books in a big like bundle. I bought $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozy. I bought 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene, and How to Win Friends and Influence People. And so I started reading How to Win Friends and Influence People and The Laws of Human Nature first. The thing about The Laws of Human Nature is, if you've ever read Robert Greene's books, they are quite exhausting to read. He tells it in a very, he tells stories which are very good because people are more emotionally invested in the stories. He tells stories about people and then he gives the examples of the story. But the chapters are so long because of this. And so the dopamine hits that you get after finishing each chapter are more spread out. And so to actually feel like you've completed something, you have to read a very long time to finish the end of one chapter, right? Compared to like How to Win Friends and Influence People, where you could probably read a chapter in 10 to 15 minutes and get tons of value, like literally tons of value. But the reason why I was forcing myself to read The Laws of Human Nature is because my mom had doubts that I would finish reading the book. And so my ego would not allow me to detach from reading it, not because I didn't want to, because I really wanted to stop reading The Laws of Human Nature because my main focus was not in that particular subject at the moment. It was actually in business. And so I was restricting myself from learning what I actually wanted to learn about, which was business, which is why I really wanted to read the $100 Million Offers book by Alex Hormozy. But because of my ego holding me back, because I did not want to let my mom win in like her doubts or whatever, that I wouldn't finish the book. So I continued to read this book, even though I didn't want to, even though I was forcing myself and wasn't even getting all the information out of it and retaining all the information out of it because I wasn't like emotionally invested in the subject at the moment. But like I said, I continued to read it anyway because my ego wouldn't let me quit, right? What do you think happened though? I burned myself out. I stopped reading in the morning because it was a chore. It was so uncomfortable and hard to get myself to read every morning because after I would read How to Win Friends and Influence People first, I felt like I was forcing myself. It was so hard to open up the Laws of Human Nature, go to the chapter I didn't finish yesterday because it's so long, and start reading again. I'm not bashing the Laws of Human Nature. The Laws of Human Nature is a very good book. Patrick Bet Davidson preaches a lot about it as well, and him and Robert Greene made a whole podcast on it. At one point in time, yes, I'm going to start reading that book again. It's a great book, but the moral of the story is that stop forcing yourself to read books that you are not even passionate about reading because one, you will burn yourself out. Two, you won't even retain all the knowledge because you're not emotionally invested into the story and the subject of what's being taught. And so you're more so thinking about how bad you don't want to be reading this book, and your mind is probably going to wander. You know, like you'll be reading, and then like you'll still be making progress, and like subconsciously you're reading the words, but your mind is thinking about something else, right? That's what was happening to me a lot when I was reading The Laws of Human Nature because it was boring me because I'm over here thinking about YouTube and making money and business and stuff when I'm reading this book about human nature, which is very important and it's a very good thing to learn about, but it's not my purpose layer at the moment. It's not my main focus. So the moral of the story is just stop forcing yourself to read these books that you're not even emotionally invested in. You wouldn't do that if you were reading a fantasy novel. You know, if this fantasy novel was boring, you stop reading it because it's not even like it's providing you any value, right? So you just put it away. And so why are you doing it with these books? If you're like me, it's because your ego is holding you back or because a book is trendy. Read whatever the heck you want because you will probably maintain more of the knowledge and get more out of the book just because that is like where your mind is already focused on and it's going to benefit you basically immediately. Like you can put the book down. Like Say you're reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? You can literally read a chapter of How to Win Friends and Influence People, put the book down, walk out your room, and go use what you just learned in real life. Those are the best kind of books. And so, like, business books can do that. A book like How to Win Friends and Influence People can do that. I'm not saying that these books that don't allow you to do that aren't beneficial and aren't beneficial to read, but reading what you are already prone and motivated to read will keep you reading for longer. And so it's better for you to read something that you already want to read, you're already motivated to read, you're already going to get value out of. And so it's better to do that than force yourself to read a book that is a good book, but you're not motivated to read because you're going to burn yourself out of reading. And then at the end, you're not going to get any knowledge out of anything because reading's a chore. In my case, reading $100 million offers is providing me way more value than reading The Laws of Human Nature because my mission in life right now is just flat out to make money. And it probably will be for the next decade. Now, does this mean that I will only limit myself to reading business books? Absolutely not. Because there's books out there, again, let me use How to Win Friends and Influence People as an example. That kind of book also helps with business. And so do learning human nature. Like, let me make this clear. I'm not bashing the laws of human nature at all. I'm just using this as an example because that's what happened with me in my life, particularly with that book. Not because it's a bad book, but because that I am just not as focused and motivated to read a book like that at this point in my life. Will I ever finish that book? Yes, absolutely. Will I finish it this month or in the next months coming up? Probably not, because I am just not motivated to learn about that subject right now. In the future, I highly see myself doing that. But right now, that is just not my focus. My focus right now is growing my business, starting to make money online, and learning social skills and everything is kind of like a side hustle, side mission or whatever. And that side mission still helps me with my main mission, which is making money. That's why I will not limit myself to just business books, because reading a book like How to Win Friends and Influence People will help me in my business with something like sales or just networking and making relationships with other business owners. You know, you have this like big pie of what you want to do, which is business, but then you also have like the slices of the pie that make up business. And one of that is like sales. And so knowing people and having good social skills and being just a cool person to be around helps with business. Do not limit yourself to like one subject, which might be business books, because you're limiting yourself to this huge pool of knowledge over here that will also help you with business, even though it's not labeled or titled for business people specifically. Never limit yourself with these self-made rules and beliefs. I know I've done that many times in the past. I'll set rules for myself that I think are very productive, but they're just limiting in the long run and end up seeing those like in foresight or whatever. And so you should be free to all realms of knowledge. Kobe Bryant uses this example like everything was done to be a better basketball player. And I like that because you can take anything from anything, but if you see it in the right light, in the right form, it can help you become a better basketball player, or in our case, a better business player. Or you might be trying to be a better basketball player as well, and that might hit really home for you. But in my case, it's business and like being this sort of alpha kind of personality. And I don't know, that might be cringe, probably is. But you see where I'm going with this. No matter what career or lifestyle you choose, building wealth is made up of compounding skills. So, learning something like social skills, learning something like business, learning something like this, you compound all that together, and that's how, in the end, you become like filthy rich because you can just do anything and make money by doing that. My name is Charlie. I'm a homeschooled athlete, an entrepreneur on self improvement. Much love to you, bro. Keep improving your life. Never stop.